The transfer window may have slammed shut weeks ago, but the echoes of what could have been continue to reverberate around the east end of Glasgow as we digest the news regarding Kyogo Furuhashi and his current situation at Birmingham City. It has emerged over the weekend that the Japanese international could still be on the move despite the failed attempt by the Parkhead board to bring him back to the Scottish Premiership during the January period. This past Saturday, reports began to circulate that the door has not been firmly closed on a potential exit from the English Championship side, which raises significant questions about the recruitment strategy currently being employed by Brian Wilson and the scouting department. The pursuit of a former hero is always a gamble that stirs the emotions of the green and white army, but when you look at the clinical nature of our current forward line, featuring the likes of Jota and Kelechi Iheanacho, you have to wonder if the profile of a player like Kyogo is exactly what Martin O'Neill needs to solidify his domestic dominance. Birmingham City held firm during the winter negotiations, but the financial landscape of the secondary tier in English football is often volatile, and it appears the Midlands club might be reconsidering their stance as they look toward the summer budget. I will delve into why this specific tactical profile is driving Martin O'Neill to look at the market again in just a moment, but first we must examine the fallout from this past Saturday's crucial fixture. The tension at Parkhead was palpable over the weekend as the Hoops took to the pitch for a must-win clash against Hibernian. Following a series of performances that perhaps lacked the clinical edge we have come to expect, the pressure was firmly on the shoulders of the first team to deliver 3 points and maintain the momentum in the Scottish Premiership title race. Ahead of the match, many analysts and writers were tipping a narrow victory for the boys, and that is exactly what transpired in a contest that was more about grit and determination than fluid attacking football. The tactical setup from Martin O'Neill saw Alistair Johnston and Marcelo Siraki pushed high up the flanks to provide the necessary width against a very disciplined Hibernian defensive block. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales were tasked with nullifying any counter-attacking threat, and for the most part, they remained composed under the high ball. However, it was the performance in the middle of the park that really dictated the flow of the afternoon. Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor looked to find those pockets of space between the lines, but Hibernian made it incredibly difficult by clogging the central areas. This forced the Celts to be patient and rotate the ball with precision, which is something Arne Engels has brought to this side since his arrival. The young Belgian midfielder showed a level of maturity beyond his years this past Saturday, constantly looking to switch the play and find the overlapping runs of Alistair Johnston. As the clock ticked down, the Parkhead faithful grew restless, but there is a certain inevitability about this Celtic side under the guidance of Martin O'Neill. They possess a psychological resilience that allows them to grind out results even when the performance is not at its peak. The victory over the weekend was a testament to that collective character. Yet despite the 3 points, the debate in the pubs around the Gallowgate has centered on whether this squad possesses the clinical edge required for the upcoming challenges in the Champions League. This leads us directly into a fascinating comparison that has been circulating amongst the support regarding the historical profiles of players who have graced the hallowed turf of paradise. There is a growing school of thought that a prime Gary Hooper would actually be a more valuable asset to this specific team than even a prime Virgil van Dijk. It sounds like heresy to some, given the global stature the Dutch defender eventually achieved, but when you look at the tactical needs of the current starting 11, the argument carries significant weight. I will explain the 3 core reasons why a penalty box predator is the missing piece of the puzzle shortly. But first we have to address the growing concerns surrounding our number 1. The managerial style of Martin O'Neill has always been defined by a ruthless streak when it comes to underperforming stars. History is littered with examples of the Irishman pulling the plug on players who he felt were not meeting the exacting standards required to wear the green and white hoops. This historical precedent should serve as a stark warning to Kasper Schmeichel following some of the recent displays we have witnessed. While the Danish international brings a wealth of experience and a winning mentality from his time in the English Premier League, he has not been immune to criticism during this recent stretch of games. This past Saturday, there were moments where his distribution and shot stopping were called into question by the more observant sections of the Parkhead faithful. Martin O'Neill is not a manager who allows sentiment to cloud his judgment. If he feels that Viljami Sinisalo or even Ross Duhan can provide a more stable presence between the sticks, he will not hesitate to make a change. We have seen this before in his previous tenure, where established names were sidelined in favor of those who showed more hunger and consistency. The goalkeeping position is unique because any error is magnified tenfold, and at a club like Celtic, where the margin for error is zero, the pressure is immense. Kasper Schmeichel must find his best form quickly because the manager's patience is not infinite. Returning to the debate of Gary Hooper versus Virgil van Dijk, it is essential to look at how Martin O'Neill constructs his winning machines. In the current squad, we have an abundance of defensive talent with Austin Trusty and Julian Araujo providing excellent depth alongside the established pairing of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales. While a defender of Virgil van Dijk's caliber would improve any team in world football, the fundamental issue for the Celts in recent weeks has been the conversion of chances. This is where the ghost of Gary Hooper looms large. The first reason a Hooper-type figure is more necessary is his innate ability to be in the right place at the right time. This past Saturday against Hibernian, the Hoops had 22 shots on goal, but only managed to find the net on a limited basis. A striker who thrives on scrap goals and clever movement inside the 6-yard box would have turned that narrow victory into a comfortable 4-0 rout. Secondly, the physical presence and hold-up play of a prime Hooper allowed the midfielders like Callum McGregor and Paulo Bernardo to join the attack with more confidence. When the ball sticks up top, it gives the entire team time to breathe and reset their positions. Junior Adamu and Tomasz Chwanchara have shown glimpses of this, but they have yet to reach that level of clinical consistency that defined the Hooper era. Finally, the third reason involves the psychological impact on the opposition. When a team knows they are facing a striker who only needs one half chance to punish them, they tend to drop deeper, which in turn creates more space for our creative players like Jota and Michel-Ange Balikwisha to operate. I will reveal how the return of a former legend could impact the dressing room dynamics in just a few minutes, but we must look deeper at the tactical shifts Martin O'Neill has implemented since the turn of the year. The transition from a possession-based approach to a more direct and vertical style of play has placed a greater emphasis on the athletic qualities of the squad. This is why the presence of Alistair Johnston has become so vital. The Canadian international is perhaps the most consistent performer in the defensive unit, providing a tireless work rate that allows the right winger to drift inside and cause chaos. Over the weekend, his ability to recover and make crucial interceptions was a highlight of the match. However, the reliance on the fullbacks to provide the primary source of creativity is a double-edged sword. If the opposition can double up on the wide areas, it often leaves the Hoops looking for answers in a congested central midfield. This is where the absence of a truly creative number 10 is felt. While Reo Hatate has the vision, he often drops too deep to pick up the ball from the center backs. Martin O'Neill needs someone who can operate in that final third with the craft of a locksmith. There are whispers that the recruitment team is looking at the Scandinavian market again, particularly given the success of Arne Engels and the potential of Benjamin Nygren. The situation with Kyogo Furuhashi at Birmingham City is a complex one. The Japanese striker became a cult hero in Glasgow for his tireless energy and his knack for scoring in the biggest games, especially in the cup finals at Hampden Park. His departure left a void that has been difficult to fill in terms of pure fan connection. The news that he could leave the Midlands side despite the failed January bid suggests that the player himself might be open to a return to a club where he felt truly appreciated. For Martin O'Neill, the dilemma is whether to look backward or move forward. Kyogo is now 31 years old, and while his pace is still a weapon, there are questions about his long-term durability in a league as physical as the Scottish Premiership. If the deal could be structured in a way that makes financial sense, it would certainly appease a large section of the Green and White Army. But we must also consider the development of players like Hyunjun Yang and Callum Osmond, who represent the future of the club. Balancing the need for immediate success with long-term sustainability is the greatest challenge facing Brian Wilson and the board of directors. As we look toward the next set of fixtures, the focus must remain on the defensive solidity of the team. The upcoming match week will test the resolve of the backline once again. Anthony Ralston and Kieran Tierney provide excellent cover, but it is the central partnership that remains the bedrock of the side. Cameron Carter-Vickers has been a titan since his arrival, and his leadership is often the difference between a clean sheet and a conceded goal. This past Saturday, he was seen constantly communicating with Austin Trusty, ensuring the defensive line remained high and compact. This level of tactical discipline is a hallmark of Martin O'Neill's coaching. He demands that his players are students of the game and that they understand their roles within the collective structure. If Kasper Schmeichel is to keep his place in the starting 11, he must demonstrate that he is fully integrated into this defensive unit. The errors we have seen in recent weeks have often been a result of a lack of communication with his center backs. In the high-pressure environment of a title race, these minor lapses can have catastrophic consequences. The manager has already shown he is willing to rotate the squad to keep players fresh, and if Schmeichel's form does not improve, the inclusion of Viljami Sinisalo is not just a possibility, but a probability. The depth of the squad is perhaps the strongest it has been in several years. Having players like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Luke McCowan available to come off the bench provides Martin O'Neill with a variety of tactical options. Over the weekend, we saw the impact that fresh legs can have in the final 20 minutes of a game. When the Hibernian defenders began to tire, the introduction of Dyson Maeda and James Forrest injected a new level of pace and directness that the visitors simply could not live with. James Forrest, in particular, remains a vital asset for the club. Despite his veteran status, his ability to hug the touchline and deliver high-quality crosses is a trait that never goes out of fashion. He understands the expectations of the Parkhead faithful better than most, having been a part of so many trophy-winning squads. His presence in the dressing room is just as important as his contributions on the pitch. He serves as a bridge between the different generations of players, helping the new arrivals, like Sebastian Tunekti and Joel Mvuka, understand what it means to play for the Hoops. Looking ahead to the summer, there is already a great deal of speculation regarding the future of several key players. Jota has once again been the subject of interest from clubs in the Middle East and the English Premier League. His flair and ability to change a game in an instant make him a target for any club looking to add a spark to their attack. However, the Portuguese winger seems settled in Glasgow and has often spoken about his love for the club and the supporters. Losing a player of his quality would be a massive blow, but the reality of modern football is that every player has a price. The board will need to be prepared to reinvest any potential transfer fees into the squad to ensure that the level of quality does not drop. This brings us back to the Kyogo situation. If a major departure were to occur, it would increase the likelihood of a high-profile signing to maintain the morale of the fan base. The recruitment of Kelechi Iheanacho was a statement of intent, and the fans will expect similar ambition in the coming months. The tactical evolution under Martin O'Neill is a work in progress, but the signs are positive. He has managed to blend the traditional Celtic values of attacking football with a modern pragmatic approach that wins trophies. The Green and White Army have bought into his vision, and the atmosphere at the stadium this past Saturday was a testament to that unity. There is a sense that the club is on the verge of something special, both domestically and in European competition. To reach that next level, the small details must be addressed. Whether it is the goalkeeping situation, the clinical nature of the strikers, or the ability to break down a low block, the demands on the players are constant. Martin O'Neill will continue to push this group to their limits because he knows that in Glasgow, second place is nothing more than the first of the losers. The history of the club is built on success, and this current crop of players has the opportunity to write their own names into the folklore of the Hoops. The comparison between Gary Hooper and Virgil van Dijk serves as a perfect metaphor for the current state of the team. Do we prioritize the foundation or the finish? At this moment, the foundation looks solid. The defensive metrics show that the Hoops are conceding fewer chances than almost any other team in the Scottish Premiership. The problem lies in the conversion. A player like Gary Hooper did not need multiple chances, he only needed a sniff of goal. His partnership with Anthony Stokes was legendary because of its telepathic nature. In the current setup, we often see our forwards isolated or forced to create chances for themselves. If Martin O'Neill can find a way to provide better service to the likes of Junior Adamu and Tomasz Chwanchara, the goals will surely follow. The return of a player with the intelligence of Kyogo Furuhashi would certainly help in this regard. His movement off the ball is world-class, and he has the ability to drag defenders out of position, creating gaps for the midfielders to exploit. As we conclude this analysis of the current state of affairs at Celtic Park, the message to the players is clear. Complacency is the enemy of progress. The victory this past Saturday was an important step, but it is only one step in a long and arduous journey. The manager will be watching every training session and every match with a critical eye. For Kasper Schmeichel, the task is to regain the trust of the manager and the supporters. For the strikers, the task is to become more clinical in front of goal. And for the board, the task is to ensure that the manager has the tools he needs to succeed. The news regarding Kyogo and the ongoing debate about the squad's requirements will continue to dominate the headlines, but the focus for the players must remain on the pitch. The Parkhead faithful will be there every step of the way, providing the vocal support that makes this club so unique. The Green and White Army are the lifeblood of the institution, and their passion is what drives the team forward. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel to stay updated with all the latest news from Parkhead. We will continue to bring you deep dives into the tactical nuances and the transfer stories that matter most to the Hoops family. Your support is vital as we follow the boys in their pursuit of more silverware. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this detailed breakdown and leave your comments below regarding the goalkeeping situation and whether you would welcome a return for Kyogo Furuhashi. Every opinion matters in this community of the Green and White Army. Stay tuned for our next update where we will preview the upcoming away fixture and analyze how Martin O'Neill plans to navigate a difficult run of games in the Scottish Premiership. Thank you for being part of this journey. Hail, hail.